Hi everyone, it's Kino here. Welcome to this Ashtanga tune-up series. Today we're going to give a little tune-up to a really important foundational standing pose called Parsvakonasana A position. This extended side angle pose is a perfect balance of strength and flexibility. And if you understand how to work this asana with a keen awareness of muscular activation as well as release, this will set you up for success in so many other deep hip flexion and external rotation postures in the practice. Okay, so let's take a look at this. First, let's start off in Samasthitihi, and then traditionally we take a relatively wide step out to the side. So we inhale and step out to the side, and then we want to kind of get the distance of about the length of one of our own legs. So, or a little bit longer than that, depending on how long your legs are. And if you have really, really long legs, it also could be a little bit shorter. If you don't have such long legs, then it could be a little bit longer than your legs are. So we want to have as wide enough apart so that when you externally rotate your hip joint and bend your knee, you want to have the legs wide enough apart so that when you bend the knee, you can really get down into the leg and let the thigh be parallel with the ground without displacing your right knee too far over your toes. All right. So this is a good test. And as you can see, I'm kind of getting down into the strength of the legs. So I'm going to come on up. Let's do that on the other side. Find your external rotation. And we're just checking the distance right now. Then we bend down, and then as you bend down, you'll notice there's another asana that's kind of hidden in here. So we have the legs of warrior two, and then, which, the arms are straight in warrior two. I was just kind of kidding there. And then we have that kind of deep external rotation. So let's just pause and look at what's happening with the legs. Both thigh bones are actually moving back. Even though this thigh rolls a little bit forward, if you let the thigh roll too much forward, you're going to have the issue that comes up for many people in Parsvakonasana A. Many people will roll that thigh bone forward and then end up in kind of a forward fold, which is where I am right now. And this sets you up more for a different asana, like we're kind of rolling forward and we can almost get down into a lunge. Fine as a transition, but if we're preparing for Parsvakonasana or extended side angle pose, we want to think about rolling that thigh bone back. So you can keep your pelvis open, we can keep the rib cage open, then you can fold into your external rotation. Step number one in Parsvakonasana is just to get the foundation of the legs. Then let's come on up. All right, I'm gonna step my legs together. And what you may notice is that this is very hard work for your legs. So I'm gonna use the assistance of a chair so that we can spend a good amount of time kind of talking about the dynamics of the asana. And this is a great pose to actually do with the assistance of a chair. So if you're doing a chair practice, this is a wonderful asana to integrate. Depending on how tall you are, you may need a block to support your foot when we move into extended side angle pose. So if we're doing the chair, we start off in the seated position on the chair, pivot forward, pivot forward. So your sitting bones kind of come to the very front edge of the chair. Then we work that external rotation, holding onto the seat of the chair, find the distance again. And again, the thigh bone wants to be parallel with the ground. Depending on the chair, we may or may not be able to kind of find the kind of architecture exactly like we're looking for, just get the feeling. The idea with the thigh parallel with the ground is that we don't really want to hike the hip up and we don't want to kind of lean a little bit too much back. So having that architecture pretty well established, let's find the hips again. This will take a little bit, but not 100% of the work out of the legs. Now as the navel draws in, lift the ribs away from the hips so we create the length. Maintain both thigh bones moving back and then fold your torso kind of as a unit over to the side. I recommend if you're doing this on the chair to firm your forearm and then use that as a base to kind of lean into. So you can use the shoulder to lean into. And then this will let your torso fold into the hip socket, but prevent kind of a collapsing down. We'll take it a little bit further in just a moment. Now, allow the chest to open, allow the pelvis to remain open. And then with this arm, we're gonna sweep through external rotation and you'll find a line that connects your whole side body. So this is that extended side angle. So you really want to reach, reach, reach. And if we were to forward fold like this, we can see that we're not really extending, we're actually closing the front body. So you want to open the front body, and this will give you a deep extension through the side and allow you to move into the hip joint that's in external rotation, a deeper external rotation a bit more. Now, if this feels comfortable for you, you can pivot a little back and forth into the hips. You just kind of roll and get the feeling. Then rolling into the back of the hip, activate the muscles of external rotation. So you're going to activate around your hip crease, dangle your right arm, and just reach your fingertips to the block. Nice. We'll hold that there just for a moment, get the feeling of extend, 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 and switch the gaze to the left fingers. Then inhale, we can bring it up, and you can find out that actually, working on the chair does not mean that you're not working, right? Holding onto the seat of the chair, we'll bring it back in, and now we're going to switch the sides. I'm going to do both sides exactly the same on the chair, and then we're going to remove the chair and see if we can kind of hit some of those same alignment pointers. Now I'm doing that external rotation and sliding back so that that back leg, the extended straight leg, can get a root firmly into the ground. Sliding forward to the front of the chair so that there's a feeling of kind of connection with my body into the chair, and I still feel connected into the ground. The legs are working, even though they're propped up a little bit. Now, again, we're getting that feeling of, oh, well, here's our warrior two shape, but we're not doing warrior two. So we're going to lean into the strength of the forearm. All right, so we got that lean in, the navel draws in, the pelvis stays open, the ribs stay open. So that's that extension along the side body. And then we want to sweep the arm so you can follow the line. If we have the arm here, we miss the line. If we have the arm there, we miss the line. So again, we're sweeping the shoulder so you can get that external rotation. You can try that a few times. You can kind of like find the shoulder blade rolls down the back and we sweep through the external rotation. Nice. Then lean a little bit into it and keep the extension. So you can even play around with, and I lean forward. You can feel how I lose the length. Now I'm really extending, so I'm maximizing the length. We pivot a little bit forward into the hip, so you can kind of roll through the hip, keeping the front body open as you do, dangling the arm out to the side, your fingertips reach to the block, and then gaze at the fingers. And we'll hold that just for a moment. Deep breaths, and then inhale, we can pivot up. You can even hit your warrior for a moment, and then come on down, right? Bringing the legs in. Now, let's remove ourselves from the chair and work the same asana. So I'm gonna get up and move that chair over to the side. There we go. Then we're going to use the block for this one. You could also just take your fingertips to the floor if a block is not accessible. So extending or taking that wide stance, rolling through your external rotation, the block aligned with the foot, bending, and then we extend. Now, since the chair is not there, you need more muscular work. So when we fold, fold, fold over, you can start off on the forearm and sweep the arm open, get that extension. Some of you may decide that this is enough. You can stay there. Deeper is not always what appears to be physically or measurably deeper. It's always the inner experience. Then dangle the arm out to the side. Engage the muscles around your right hip crease. Fingertips to the block. Press into the block. Hand flat on the block. Extend, extend, extend. Switch the gaze. If you feel that you don't need the block anymore, you can move it away and take the hand down, completely closing the hip. If and only if you can completely close the hip, press the knee into the right upper arm and press the right upper arm into the knee to create a kind of bind that will deepen the posture and increase the strength work. Hold it for one more breath, then we'll drop the arm down and inhale, rise up. That was hard. All right, let's try the other side. I'm gonna get the block and put it in place. Very good. Align that with the foot. Checking the distance. So what you want to avoid is kind of turning this pose into Trikonasana and kind of leaning down and overextending or over moving with the hips. So again, just find your warrior position with the hips nice and level. Nice. Then we get that feeling of reaching, folding into the hip joint. Take a moment. You can check your extension. Check, check, sweep, find the line. Good. And then you can stay there, or activating those muscles of external rotation on the left hip. We're placing the femur deeper into its socket as we fold and reach down. You can stay here, or if you feel you can move the block out of the way, you can try fingertips or all the way down. But if you go all the way down, don't lose the openness along that right side body. Engage the muscles of external rotation and then stabilize through the legs. We come all the way up and return to Samasthiti. All right. So you can see that this posture is that balance of strength and flexibility. We're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into our external rotation. We're lengthening the side body. And at the same time, we're stabilizing and strengthening all of those muscles that would eventually facilitate a very safe entry into external rotation and into hip flexion. So put your time in the standing asanas, work with feeling and sensitivity, and try not to force yourself to go what looks aesthetically deeper from the outside, and keep practicing.